a question arose, put forth by Nostradamus himself, about toxicity in gaming culture. And what is toxicity? Well, I have taken to the wilderness of my backyard with my companion, Puppy Love himself, and we are going to, together, search for the answers of what is toxicity in gaming and how we can solve it. This may be the greatest question of our time, and we are going to do this together. So journey with me now as we travel into the deep wilderness of my backyard, and we find out together what can be done about this most pressing of all questions, and also how I can finally train my pooch to stay with me without a leash. Come here, boy. So let us journey together into the woods, into the thick of it, while we try and discover what toxicity is. I have concluded that a walk in the woods is not enough to solve the age-old question of toxicity in gaming. But what I can say is that it comes down to the motives of both parties. I'll say this. One of the things that can be said for the internet is that it makes it very easy to assume that someone else is on the offensive, when in fact they are not. There is something lost, and we also saw this as a result of lockdowns and whatnot during COVID, where people didn't communicate as much face-to-face for a period of time. And this damaged us because one of the ways we communicate is through facial expression, through reading body language, through interaction, and so many other things that comes from communication. Communication is not just the spoken word or the written word. Those are two very important aspects of it, but reading the body language of an individual. For example, if you're having a conversation with someone, pay attention to this. If you're having a conversation with someone and their feet are pointed away from you, they are not engaged in the conversation. They are wanting to go in the direction that their feet are pointing. But if their feet are pointing towards you, then they are engaged in the conversation. When we assume that people hold us, oh, my dog's dragging me. When we assume that people hold ill intent towards us, then every action we do based off of that is going to be on the offensive. This could be considered toxic because you are misinterpreting the actions of the individual who is communicating with you. Whereas if you assume positive intent on the role of the person who you are communicating with, then it changes the entire discourse of the conversation. There is one thing that I can say that is a hallmark of what I would say a toxic behavior. And that is if no matter what you do, the people who antagonize you will never give you credit for anything you do, even the good. If you are doing something that they perceive as bad, they dunk on you about it. If you're doing something that even they would perceive as good from someone else and they still dunk on you about it, this could be considered toxic, because this means that there is really no avenue for any kind of a productive discourse. So under those circumstances, I'd say, yeah, there's really not a whole lot you can do except for just try your best. And my rule of thumb, the rule that I always try and teach my children, for example, is always do yourself what you would like to see others do. Behave in a way that you would like to see others behave. And even if someone meets you with scorn and ridicule, mocking and all these other things, and you meet them with kindness, then it changes things. Because at a certain point, they realize that they are the ass. And once they have to admit that, they either have to admit that they are the ass, or that they have to change. And so I would say, all joking aside, and this really did kind of come to me as a sort of a meme joke material, look at what others do through the lens of assuming positive intent. That is my PSA. And even if you do get into it with people, try and just leave the conversation better than you found it. And that's not a bad way to go about life in general. Definitely not a bad way to go about the internet. And in gaming culture, where I think that it was Nostradamus who wrote, "To be dunked and to dunk upon," you should always do so good-naturedly, never out of spite. And it will change your entire frame of mind. So from the woods of my backyard, Ziggy1X here, signing off. Peace out, y'all. Have a good one. Bye.